Strike, you got Bat Lasso, or sorry, not Bat Lasso, Storm Spirit, you got the Rock as well. So I wouldn't say it's as clear-cut GG as we're making it sound to be, but
Oh, definitely
I
not.
think it's definitely Vici favored the draft.
Definitely not. I'd say right now I feel I would feel just off the draft alone it's not like that far apart. Maybe like 55-45 or 60-40, in my opinion.
All right, guys, let's see what the caster thinks. We'll hand it to Lyrical and Blaze.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Lumi, as well as Aosin, for giving us that intro into the draft. We're now here in the game, what could be the final match of the Kiev Major Qualifiers, unless IG has something to say about it. As they were saying, Lyrical as well as Blaze, your two commentators here. And Blaze, do you agree with the panel? Do you think that Vici has this one sort of tied up in the bag?
I mean, I like what Vici Gaming brought as far as the core heroes here, the Batrider, the Legion, the Terrorblade. They have a really good mix of control and damage output. But I gotta say that I'm a pretty big fan of the Storm Spirit pick. OP should have a really solid game where he can pretty much do whatever he wants. I mean, yeah, you have to worry a little bit about the mana leak and potentially about that Batrider lasso, but for the most part, if you're staying active, if you keep using your ultimate, if you're bouncing around, you should be able to really play around the disables that Vici Gaming are bringing and start snowballing with some big items. You get an Orchid out, and suddenly it's much easier to kill off a Terrorblade, and I actually think that OP might be able to run this one down.
All right, well, we'll see if he's going to be able to get out of control. I will say that right off the bat, his cosmetics a little bit lacking. You need a hat on Storm Spirit. I mean, come on.
He's got like anime hair. I mean, that's not too bad.
We'll agree to disagree. But anyways, it's going to be going up against the Legion Commander here. Last time around, we did see that there was an aggro tri-lane in the bottom lane, which left these two to face off against each other. This time, it's not looking to be an aggro tri-lane necessarily, but at the very least, it's going to be somewhat of a back and forth. What are your thoughts here on the way that these are fully working out the laning situation?
Well, the Legion Commander should have an interesting time against the Storm Spirit early on here. Obviously, after 6, it'll get a lot easier for OP. Up top, it seems like Borax really just wants to put some pressure up top. He's going to actually do some creep pulling here and make it harder for Yang to get aggressive in his own safe lane here. But yeah, he's got the boots. I think Yang will actually do pretty well. Batrider with boots against two melee heroes shouldn't struggle too much, and I think that maybe we're going to have to see the Slaughter rotate bottom in the end. But Burning, he's running a hero he's very comfortable with, and he's going toe-to-toe with End once again.
Yeah, and we do end up missing the first blood up in the top lane. Yang making the plays without even a second skill used there. So just really impressive. And, well, we're going to miss one. Why not miss another? That's going to be another one taken. End is able to bring down the Warlock. And this whole time also, we saw Ori being able to burn through the salve on OP. So already off to a hot start. This game is looking well underway for Vici.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, whenever you have the Metamorphosis, you're going to be favorable bottom lane. But what I'm worried about is when the Metamorphosis wears off, if the Slaughter hits bottom, if Vici Gaming are going to have the aggressive potential that they desire. But at least for right now, it's not an issue because Borax is sitting high and dry up top. Again, they are up against the Batrider as two melee heroes, and with a movement speed disadvantage, I feel like that's a very risky situation for them.
Yeah, and Slardar not having that magic stick for himself is always going to be a little bit more susceptible to the damage coming out. I would be really surprised if Burning ends up getting brought down, but you know, this Warlock could be a little bit of food in here in this bottom lane if they're not careful. As far as what we've been seeing so far, Storm Spirit still keeping even with the Legion Commander at this early point, but it looks like they're going to bring in Borax nonetheless to try and give him a little bit of help.
Yeah, it seems like it's just going to be Borax's job to move everywhere he can, try to start levying advantages here in the lane. If he gets a little bit more movement speed, like Tranquil's up, then he should be able to do that a lot more effectively. For right now, or he's actually seeing HYM play around with him with this haste rune, and there's not much he can do about it. Down bottom, though, and farming pretty much by himself at the moment without a Metamorphosis, and it just enough IG still don't feel like they're in a position to actually go on him.
Yeah, they do not really feel like there's a whole lot that they can do here. Burning is actually almost out of regen at this point in time, although he does have the Warlock Shadow Word to keep him topped off there. But mid lane, again, Legion Commander, in spite of the harassment, still doing pretty decent in CS, and after these couple come under the tower, should be able to be just about fine with it. As far as the Legion Commander is concerned, do you feel this is a hero that's going to need to get active very early on, or can you play it more farming oriented?
I think you want to get a couple good items up before you really start to get too involved here. Maybe like an Armlet into Blink Dagger. It's hard to say necessarily, but I do think that right now Vici Gaming's lineup is already, in the laning phase at least, able to start fights on their terms well enough, and I don't think the Legion is too compelled to try to add to that. I think that he really just wants to make sure that his laning goes well and that he gets a couple of key items first.
Oh, OP may be in some trouble here. You do have HYM. They're scouting him out. And if he steps too far afoot, will be punished by this quite severely. But yeah, the pings come now, and I think that it might be Slardar that realized what's happening. They scan it out and immediately realizing what's there.
Yeah, so Borax will make his rotation that way as well. Just level 1 in sprint, but it might be enough to keep him in a good aggressive spot and maybe even find a pick on the Vengeful Spirit. But right now, just a lot of early, like you got all 5 heroes on VG Gaming have boots. One of them has Tranquils, and another has Windlace. So it's like, it just seems like there's always going to be this movement advantage where it's going to be harder for Invictus Gaming to close the distance. And I just think that the early mobility of the VG Gaming lineup is going to be paying them dividends until OP hits 6.
Well, we'll have to see if when that happens, they can make something happen, as he is getting ever closer and currently level 5.
Bottom, the Terrorblade dropping very low here. Got to be taking just enough damage. It looks like they'll be able to kill off the creeps that are fatal bonded to him, as well as continue with that damage over time. So it is going to be a pick off there, but it's kind of what you expect when you leave the Terrorblade literally all by himself. I mean, this guy could take a lot of pot shots in terms of like his early armor values, but at the end of the day, he has his limits.
Yeah. Well, and in the meantime, they're going to end up bringing him back over to the jungle. Give somebody else that lane for a little while. Slardar is going to make a movement himself in towards the mid. I'm curious, because it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot that they can accomplish at this point. OP is still halfway to 6. This would be a very tough kill. What do you think he's trying to accomplish here?
Well, we'll see some jumps here. It's actually going to be a stun the other way around. No self-healing. Only the Fairy Fire available for the Legion Commander. Has to get out of there as quickly as possible. Needs the Fairy Fire right now. And even that might not have been enough, as he doesn't get the chance to pop it off. But it just seems like Vici Gaming are in an extremely passive stance right now. I mean, you just saw Terrorblade pop Metamorphosis just to farm creeps in the jungle. And then letting a Coddle solo off lane. So he's going to be pushing out the waves, but not doing much more than that. It seems like Vici Gaming just want to run down the clock a little bit. They just don't want much of anything to happen in terms of kills in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Okay, more passive play coming in. Need to be careful about these ganks just in case something goes awry. OP in the meantime going to fill up his bottle, head back in towards lane, get a little bit of jungle farm along the way as well. What do you feel like IG's goals are going to be as well right now? Like, is the laning stage anything that they need to be concerned about here at all? Can they make more rotations like we saw the Slardar in towards mid?
I mean, they definitely want to make the starter involved. I think that Burning's fine just farming bottom, and he has a couple of items in mind that he wants to hit at a certain timing window based on farm. But the Sand King and the Slardar are not going to be able to sit around until a Blink Dagger falls in their laps. These heroes need to be more involved, and so XXS and Brax probably will be looking to try to get more active, especially on this top lane.
Here they go in towards the Sand King, but will not be able to find any type of a kill. And instead of getting a little bit more farming, they're just going to take down a tower. Why not? You never expect the post-metamorphosis 4-man rotation to take the tier 1.
I'm actually not so sure about this. They don't have Vengeance Aura and they don't have Metamorphosis, and we do have 3 heroes up top to try to address this. So the big thing is Yang does have Lasso, they do have Duel, so IG have to be very tentative about this. But at the end of the day, I think a full mana Storm Spirit making a rotation could stop this one in its tracks.
And OP is actually just going to end up going back towards mid. So showing here, this might give a little bit more momentum towards Vici to be willing to make that pressure happen. But it looks like instead, Yang going to take out the jungle. Borax trying to chase, but Yang should just be able to do a little double back and get the farm regardless.
Might actually get caught out here. Firefly will be over, and while he does have a TP, we also have Borax looking for the crush. Come on, buddy. There it is. And that will be the 3rd kill on the table, with a little bit of experience also going to OP. I feel like Vici Gaming had a very clear idea with what they wanted to do in terms of the map, having Coddle push out bottom, and all of Vici rotating up top to try to at least control where IG were moving. Obviously got them some damage on the tower as well. Seemed to be an overall good idea, but either they were out of sync in the fact that N didn't have his meta, and he didn't tell anybody about that, or it just comes down to the fact that they knew that they could only push so far. It's hard to say without being like in their comms, but I do think that overall Vici Gaming have been clumping up a little more than they should be.
Yeah, it looks right there as well, like Ori was able to sneak in under the gun. OP must have been looking somewhere else because he just got a haster and stolen from him by the Legion Commander, just walked up and took it. But nonetheless, is still going to be able to farm out the jungle here. Doesn't have quite that same amount of mana regeneration that he would have wanted from the bottle charges, but can get that farm going. Now, is this going to have to be a straight up Linken's game for him, or are there enough of these single target abilities that it might not even necessarily be worth it for the Storm Spirit?
I mean, I still think it's always nice to have. I mean, you have at least the swap that you will never be able to expect because eventually HYM's range on the another swap will be too great for him to be able to address. So I think that Linken's is still pretty solid, but it's not like the item you rush out. He definitely wants his Bloodstone Orchid first, and I think Linken's would be a solid third item.
Okay. Top lane, HYM getting levels, getting the farm, Legion doing the jungle. We got Terrorblade taking out Ancients as well with another round of Metamorphosis used to take down these Ancients. And I guess the plus side that you could say of this as a big rotation is coming in is that IG don't realize that Metamorphosis is being used, and they're not really going to be in a position where maybe they don't make it as an aggressive move because they'd be worried about that Metamorphosis.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, right now we don't have much intel on that side of the map at all for Victus Gaming, but they are going to be making their move down bottom here. They have this bear with the Demolish passive, chunk it down on the bottom tier 1, and because they've committed so hard, the Coddle can't really fully defend it. It's going to be denied, it looks like, by Vici Gaming, but again, it did force a lot of rotations. That being said, now we have up top a non-Metamorphosis, out of mana, Terrorblade. Can't get the Metamorphosis up, and can't punish the heavy response.
Yeah. They're continuing to farm. IGQ gets a little bit more room for himself as well, almost to that level 6, which, as we've seen time and again, can cause so many troubles in these early team fights. But yeah, Coddle gonna hold the tower, and it does really feel to me as if right now Vici just looking to draw this game out and maybe pick up kills here and there whenever it's possible, but certainly not a high priority.
Yeah, it really is just a push and pull setting for them where they just want to make it, because they have the combination of the Illuminate, which as we see is Coddle just getting picked up top, but along with the aspect of the overwhelming odds, it's so hard for IG to do anything but split push. If they go for hard pressure, VG Gaming send 2 heroes there and they immediately have a response. That'll change up a little bit as the Storm gets more confident to dive in, as a Blink Dagger comes out for the Slaughter of the Sand King. Then there's more dive and jump potential, but as it stands right now, Vici Gaming are fine to hold behind the tower and just counter push away. And with that, it buys time for the Terrorblade to get up this Manta, which he needs desperately against a hero like Storm.
And I feel like they're off to, honestly, in spite of the tower going down bottom, a pretty good point right now for Vici. They've gotten the Bat Rider a hell of a lot of farm as well. They're going to be able to still hit this strong timing once the items come up and online for these people. You got the Legions going for the Armlet, but like I said, you're going to have that Blink Dagger already there for the Bat Rider. So by and large, I don't think that Vici are in a terribly bad spot right now. They're just waiting for that timing when they're going to be able to pressure much more heavily.
Definitely. I think they're very happy with the deny that they got on the tower down bottom, and I just think that they're looking for that Blink Dagger now. They can make the smoke play, and you can probably do a few back-to-back. Like, every time Blasto's off cooldown, they'll probably go for a smoke here, and hopefully they'll find one of these blinkers. If they find the Slaughter of the Sand King, they can set their economy back quite considerably. The Star Spirit also pretty dependent on getting some items up fast, too, so those are the 3 ideal kills.
Oh, smoke broken. This is a little bit scary, and it was all of IG there. Had they spotted out and been able to get a good jump on Avicii, it would have been a terrible one. They're on to right now. XSS, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, though. They drop the Golem. HYM swapped to get to the high ground. Is trying to get out of there and is going to be able to walk fairly away, but he is still going to die nonetheless. OP is going to fall as well, as they are going to be able to take him down. A much higher priority kill. Ori going to be able to get the Sunder by end, saving his life, but is he still going to be able to walk out of here?
Not the root.
Another root is down. They've got the Fatal Bond. It does look like End is going to back out. Does not want to end up dropping here, certainly, but they kept him alive for a while. Trade off mid laners and trade an off lane for a support.
But you have to remember that at the beginning of the fight, Terrorblade was pressuring top, was able to claim the top tier 1 with the beginning of his meta, and then got to use it in the fight as well. Adding on the dual damage that you just got from the Legion Commander, I think Vici Gaming are very happy with that. In fact, it would have been an even better fight if not for some really sick RNG from Burning. They got 2 roots at the perfect time, in my mind, in order for him to find that kill on the Legion Commander, and just showcasing what he can do when he hits that tangle button.
All right. Well, you're still a little ways away from the Sand King Blink Dagger, and in the mid, they swap back in
Big
Burning.
pickup.
Oh, Savage Roar trying to get back in range for the duel.
Oh, no mana leak,
But wasn't going to end up going for it.
Yeah, they can't really keep him or the bear where they want to try to find that kill. It's actually a full 404 build from the Coddle, and yeah, the disable wasn't enough, so
Yeah.
burning a big kill, but he slips away.
They're going to end up forcing a couple of rotations to the top with Yang getting quite aggressive there on the Sand King. So several heroes in the area for IG. They're still going to try and be able to burn through this, but now in some trouble, getting hit, getting right click. No root as of yet, but it does look like Yang will most assuredly fall. The Blink Dagger reveal from Borax, and maybe more. They've got the Storm Spirit jumping in, pulls back onto DDC. They press the attack and to keep him alive for the moment, but they need to get to that shrine desperately, and the crush is going to come. DDC's still alive. The stun counterplay now. They can go for another one. Duel onto OP. If they get to kill him off here, it would be huge, but isn't looking like it's going to happen. They end up bringing down DDC and Ori, and now the epicenter to boot. A terrible fight for Vici.
Yeah, it was the tail end of that fight that they just had a little bit of confidence. They thought they could finish off one target with duel and get out of there, and just didn't happen that way at all. Too much wave damage coming out. The Fatal Bonds being a major player there, but of course the Storm Spirit and the Lone Druid still doing the heavy lifting here, with the epicenter only coming in at the very end. Now, I gotta still say that the most impressive play in my mind from that fight was actually DDC's move with the Illuminate there. He was able to get his Spirit Form out, drop an Illuminate that wasn't, at the time, facing any of the heroes, but as he baited them towards the shrine, they all walked into it and took a boatload of damage. Unfortunately, that damage is what gave them the confidence to go in, and in the end, the tail end of the fight, which was what cost them. So, I love that play from DDC. It was a very well laid out Illuminate, but in the end, it gives them a boost of confidence that hurts them more than helps.
Well, Yang tried to jump in there for a good initiation, but was a little bit off the mark, unfortunately, and so they will not get any dual damage, but they will be able to pressure this tower. Unfortunately, top lane still taking some burning damage as well, and now the swap back in, Borax, but they get the turnaround. The Golem is down as well. A lot of damage coming out from that overwhelming odds, but it looks like they are on the side of Vici going to be forced back yet again. And End also in some more trouble. Is going to have the Sunder. Turns it onto the Sand King. That's pretty good. And now they're going to have to run away again. Savage Roar to force them back. And it looks like the DDC wasn't quite able to finish him off, but they do trade the Slardar for the Venge ostensibly.
Yeah, Sandstorm Disjoint makes it so that he can get away from them terribly. There's still a very nice Sunder and response. But are seeing more and more the Storm Spirit play very fearlessly in these fights. I mean, he has a lot of mana to work with now with just a Soul Ring bottle. He's just got a fresh point booster, and this guy actually is going to be hard to kill. Like, I would not be surprised if his death count stayed just about where it is, like 1 to 3 deaths this entire game, because, to be honest, like, the only way he dies is if he makes a mistake.
Well, we're going to have to see if he can play perfect from here on out. They've still got also Borax with the Blink Dagger, ready to find that initiation, the Blink on Sand King as well. And this is a lot of what you were talking about earlier as well. The mobility that we had from Vici was looking good. Now you got extra mobility coming out from the side of IG. You've got all these Blink Daggers. You've got Storm Spirit balling in from far away. Not to mention a Lone Druid who's got pretty good movement speed himself. So they're going to have to see if Vici can deal with this constant aggression that is coming out and ability to team fights.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we are going to be seeing Q go for a Hand of Midas on his Warlock, and I think that's a pretty good read on the state of the game. They're not going to be able to end this game out too quickly. Vici Gaming just have way too many ways to break down a creep wave, and I think IG, like, even Tier 2s feel a little bit ambitious at this point in time for them until they actually win a fight. So, at least for now, they have a 5-kill lead, but this game could definitely go the distance.
We'll have to see if they're able to make those types of plays, and if they can, you know, not be punished too heavily for investing into these Midases, gearing up for the later stages. As looks like right now, Vici thinking about moving towards this bottom spot. They've got Vengeance Aura level 2. They're scouting out to make sure nobody's behind the tower. And with this illusion spam, they should be able to secure themselves it while not really investing too much into the area.
They've got to get out quick, because this Smoke and Deceit did come out at a pretty good position for them. For IG to make a jump. They have some very deadly initiation if they just get in range with the Blink Daggers, but as we can see, Vici Gaming have a read on this situation themselves, and they are going to be pulling back for a smoke.
Yeah, I mean, there's these creeps waves that are pushing in over here to the side. I think that also just realizing that, you know, nobody is showing behind here, but they very well could be in that area. And they're going to move across, get some more farm in, build into that next set of items. And BKB for Terrorblade, I think also gives you a very clear idea into what the situation and read is for Vici Gaming. They want to try and end this game, or at least put in some heavy structural damage before we get into too much later stage of this.
Yep, and so pressure down bottom here. Tier 2 is going to be clipped up, and I think that is going to signal a bit of retreat from IG thereafter, but they are here to finish this tower at the very least, ready with Borax and Exotest on the side. Good Observer Ward on the high ground, gives them intel of everybody's position on the dire side, but in the end the bailout is required. I was just looking over at the Legion Commander cosmetics, one that I hadn't seen before, and I saw a nice little inscription there for a buddy of Ori's there. He says, "Ori, I hope you to be a phenomenal playmaker and leader in the future."
That's
and,
great.
I mean, this guy, obviously a big up-and-comer to an extent over the past year in the Chinese scene, and now I feel for him. Like, these a lot of people think of these as names on a screen, but these are real people, and I mean, he's got dreams as much as anybody. I hope that he succeeds as well. We'll see if they can push it through. I mean, they're one game away from a major.
Yeah, follow your dreams, Ori. We believe in you. All right, no bias here. We're going to continue on.
Well, one thing I will say is that historically, DDC has attended every Valve event, period. The only other players that have done that is Misery and Universe. So I do have a little bit of bias to keep that streak alive. DDC, best supported China in my mind, and has just been in it for the long haul. So I will say that it would be nice for him to continue to impress at every major, every TI. But we're actually seeing Ori in a bit of a rough spot.
Uh-oh, this is a problem. No way out of that one. Had the Hasterin, so maybe feeling a little bit safe, but that was also the armlet that was just delivered to him as well. But I think that that's probably the correct decision, saving that Hasterin. It could be used a little bit later on for the initiation. IG just obviously going to be aware of it from now on out.
Yeah, so it is going to be Vici Gaming still pretty well on the defensive, but the Terrorblade is getting some good farm progression here. Does have his Manta style up and is working towards a BKB. And if you think about it, there's really only so much that they could do against a BKB Terrorblade. In fact, Yang actually in a position to pounce here. Gonna be going on to the starter with the double stun overlap, but they're still gonna have the damage.
Nicely played.
Oh,
Epicenter
Epicenter
going
from the
in.
high
They're
ground.
trying to take it. No, he ended up not going in for it. His Blink Dagger was canceled, and now trying to run away. They're going to swap forward. HYM trying to find that initiation angle. The stun disjointed as well. They're still chasing. That's a really good Savage Roar as well, keeping the rest of his team alive for the moment, but the chase is going to continue. The flame push back onto that Sand King, and dual damage 1.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for the Sand King to step into the Firefly there and get his dagger canceled. Couldn't go in, couldn't get the free kill on the Venge, and in fact, ends up feeding some dual damage away as the chase continues. So now, Legion getting in a better position than ever before, looking really strong. When she gets like her, obviously she's working towards Blink Dagger now. When she gets that and the BKB, I actually think that her initiation is going to be pretty supreme.
All right, we'll have to watch out for that one. Obviously, they are going to be in a pretty terrifying situation, particularly with the Coddle Ags. We talked about this in the last game, how effective the vision mitigation can be once you get that Aghanims and the gem up and online. But right now, IG looking to move into Roshan, see if they can deny this away from Vici Gaming. But I don't think that Vici Gaming are going to give it to him too easy. Oh, maybe they will. They
yeah, I'm
don't
not
even
so sure.
realize
This
it.
is so fast. I mean, Slaughter amp damage comes out at this point in time, and it just makes it so that if you don't have it very clearly in your head, the moment that they disappear off the map, you'll just realize it's just a few seconds too late, and by then IG have it. They have an Aegis on the Storm. One of the best Aegis carriers in the game now can go as YOLO as he wants.
And this was a premeditated decision for them. You can see this ward up on the high ground. They spotted all of these heroes moving in here from IG, and they decided they don't want to take that fight. So again, another indication of how they feel this game is going. We're going to go for some split push, take fights when it's a good position, but not try and go 5-on-5. And I think that makes a ton of sense with maxed out Fatal Bonds, level 2 ulti for Warlock. It's too scary to make that move.
All right, so we did just get an Aghanim Scepter picked up on the Keeper Light gem coming out to him now. Daytime obviously going to make that extremely impactful for the map control that Vici Gaming are presented with. We talked about the previous game with Batrider and Coddle having a huge vision advantage as the game goes longer. Well, Vici are going to have that and the scaling of their core heroes, where Terrorblade can really go the distance here. Going for BKB
right
so
there
that
from
he can start getting into
but they
fights more
smoked all the
actively.
creeps
But
from their
with
base.
he and Legion have
They were in
BKBs,
complete
not only
vision.
not
It's really
afraid,
tough because you know
afraid
that if that
of
roast
the
goes
mid
down,
game,
you're
they're
already
not
down to
afraid
later
at all
racks
of
and
the
that tier
late
3.
game, where they just
You
have
don't have a
so
buyback
much
on your
potential
Emperor Spirit. You have
scaling
this and really
effectively
doing much more
infinitely,
than
especially for the Legion.
Well, now movement in towards the mid. IG wanting to put the screws to Vici Gaming, see if they're going to force a response. Mjolnir onto the bear already. Going to be able to just paw away at those guys. And in the meantime, Vici Gaming need to figure out, do we want to respond? They're going to recall in the Legion Commander, and well, eyes on the Sand King means that he is not going to be able to go for a big epicenter play there. TPing in the Terrorblade as well, looking like they want to try and go for a wraparound here, and Yang jumps in, pulls back in, Burning. It's a great start to the fight. They're also able to swap in that Slaughter, so he can't get a counter initiation play. OP is in the midst of all of it, though. The Warlock Golem has already dropped HYM low, but OP out of mana now. He is in a ton of trouble. They've dropped the Warlock. They've lost the Storm. That's just the Aegis. And Yang, meanwhile, trying to run away, wasn't quite able to get out of there. Epicenter finally comes in, but they already have the BKB, and that is going to be XSS drop into the right click.
Oh, he's low on mana.
Trying to run away, but yes, as you said, out of mana, out of time, and soon to be out of light. Borax as well, going to get ran down. They can maybe even kill off the bear if they want, but I don't think they're going to catch Burning.
Now that was actually a really big mistake from Burning to start off that fight. He sees a TP and he tries to Savage Roar on the TP to kind of throw them into disarray. Maybe thought they were in a sieging position and not a fighting position, and therefore underestimated his opponent. With Savage Roar on cooldown, Batrider was free to go right on him, and Burning was on the run for the first half of that fight, completely off the screen. He and the Slardar, Borax, were pretty much playing toe-to-toe with Yang, but that gave so many openings for the Legion Commander of the Terrorblade to tear through the front line. So it really was the start of the fight that allowed Londra to be pulled back, and that was what enabled Vici Gaming's push forward. Gotta say as well, there was a window right at the end of the fight where OP could have suicided as the studs wore off, and he just didn't, and that's a lot of golden experience given away as well.
A really unfortunate situation. It's all of these really great single target disables that are just well aimed at these heroes. You can see Lone Druid building now into a Lincoln Sphere. They desperately need something like this to be able to stop that initiation. And it does look like, in spite of the problems, in spite of no longer having the Aegis, IG still feeling comfortable pushing the envelope.
Yeah, I do like this pickup here, though. We are going to be seeing a Yule Scepter onto the Batrider. So even when those Lincolns come out, he does have an option as far as making those disable stick. He can break the Lincolns with the Yules and then lasso Force Staff and get them in the position they want, forcing them to fight further and further into the Illuminate, into the Blinding Light, and just making things very difficult.
All right, well, it looks like Storm Spirit opting to go for the Lincoln Sphere himself as well as that second item. Feeling like there's just too much going his way, and now the movement is going to be moving down towards the bottom, possibly looking for a pickoff onto Burning. They will run into XSS first. Ping's there as well. Can they catch up to him? Firefly jump forward, duel in spite of the Burrow Strike in the trees. They're fighting in the woods. Not often you see something like that happen.
Yeah, but it's going to be extremely effective at pulling him out and getting even more damage for the Legion Commander. Now there's no way they can defend this middle lane, and I actually think that they're going to be throwing at least the illusions up to the high ground. They just got a glyph on cooldown.
Yeah,
so
they're still holding on to Lasso as well. This is going to be regen coming in from the Illuminate.
Yeah, so this is going to be a tier 2 gone, and they are definitely going to put some damage to the tier 3. How far they commit is up to them, but they know that King is definitely down for the next 20.
All right, they're pushing in for this. Can they respond at all on the side of IG? You got the bear with the Mjolnir on top of it, but not really capable of making anything happen to stop this, and the tier 3 is down, and it doesn't look like Vici want to try for anything more. That's more than enough at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, it opens up the potential for them to take down Shrines, which makes Roshan easier, and in general, I just feel like they are going to start controlling the map across the board. Agativ's Gem at daytime, getting all that information, and now they can pretty much do what they want for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, just need to make sure these lanes are pushed in, and that will further give them and cement them a bit of a net worth lead. The ping came out for the Dire Shrine up here, and it looks like that's the movement that IG want to make. Scan is still off cooldown, but Vici Gaming, well aware of what could be coming their way, backed up inside their base.
Yeah, extremely far back here. They're just making it so that the only real option for counterplay is going to be completely deleted, and that's going to be allowing them to just play the map really, really well. So Nighttime will fall. The Coddle losing some of his potency here with the Aghanim Scepter, but just in general feeling really good. I mean, he's still got the Blinding Light, which is great against both the Storm Spirit and the Lone Druid, and just making it so that whenever they fight, they're ready to fight on their terms.
In the meantime, Storm has finished off that Lincoln's. We saw a little bit earlier Burning finishing his off as well. And it looks like that will be revealed possibly by OP. It doesn't look like he wants to yet. If they can somehow manage to not reveal the Lincoln Sphere, even though he's been building towards it, it could end up being one of those big moments in a team fight where you burn a duel, burn a lasso, something like that.
Yeah, it definitely could be a very high impact situation, but it'll only happen once, that's for sure. And they're going to just kind of start struggling from there. I mean, once Vici Gaming have the tools to disable in spite of the Lincolns, whether it be a Force Staff or a Yule Scepter or some other basic spell, you're going to be seeing that they can still isolate their targets, they can still find the kills they're looking for. And I just feel like the Storm Spirit doesn't have nearly as much in terms of pick-off potential. He skipped, I think the Lincolns is necessary. Upgrading it to second item instead of third is probably the right call, but in contrast, he doesn't have an Orchid, where normally a Storm Spirit would. And therefore, they really can't find a target in isolation. They really don't have vision, and they don't have the abilities and items to actually find these kills.
And they spotted out the Terrorblade illusion there, but it was the scan that hit on it. So maybe thinking that there could have been somebody else up there. Their positioning is revealed now, and well, I'm just gotta say it. I'm not really seeing what the oomph is behind IG's draft right now. Like you mentioning the lack of the Orchid, but also Burning. I mean, he's gonna be able to be survivable here. Do you think late game they have what it takes as the Bat Rider tried to go forward for a catch there?
Oh, we're going to see an opportunity for them right now. They're just going to do some dewarding action with that gem, but I gotta say that I'm a little bit concerned about Burning's current item regression. His timings are good, but he is actually going to be going for a Daedalus in a situation where he could very well be blinded by the Keep of the Light. If he doesn't have an MKB to deal with that, he's just going to be in a spot where he actually is struggling to hit his targets repeatedly. On top of that, a very common progression for the Terrorblade is to go for the Butterfly. So adding all this together, and you've got a little bit of trouble on your hands.
Right. Yeah, and Terrorblade is now actually, interestingly enough, maybe anticipating that there could have been an MKB coming, is going instead for the Daedalus himself. So everybody just wants to hit hard. Everybody wants that little crossbow of death. It's a crossbow, right? Am I crazy?
It is a crossbow indeed. It's a very odd crossbow, building it out of a sword. It's going to be absurd, but it is a crossbow, and it is going to be a Roche attempt from both sides here, as it is just about 20 seconds left on the clock.
They spot out that the Slardar is here, and maybe thinking that there could be an opening. Still 1 minute and 9 seconds until daytime.
Yeah, I think Coddle wants to wait for that. I think that in general, Vici Gaming are going to be in a much better position when daytime breaks out. For now, they've shown their position by dewarding a sentry nearby, and it looks like both sides are just stalemating around the pit.
There's a wraparound call right now, and they want to move towards the vision that they have on the map at the very least. So if the fight starts to sprawl a little bit, they'll be able to make it work. But the call comes out as well from Vici Gaming. This could be where, in fact, IG are coming from. And still very close to daytime.
Oh, they see him.
This could be rough. There's the jump forward. Duel immediately onto the Sand King, but can they bring him down? Ori has already dropped so quickly. Ive's going to be able to get out of there, and Ed turning to fight is just manning up against this golem, but he's taking a ton of damage. Thunder is not going to go off either. Yang slowed, as well as this Coddle. Everybody's starting to fall. Vici are going to throw away 4 kills, and Yang barely able to walk away from this one, but that one hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just a tremendous start for the fight for Invictus Gaming. I mean, it was Vici who had better information, and they made the decision to go. The problem was the follow-up was so instantaneous from Invictus Gaming, and there's no BKB yet on the Legion. Like, you can make that kind of a play when you have BKB, but as it stands, all he has is the Armlet and the Ogre Club, and it makes him very vulnerable. He's actually given dual damage away to the Sand King, of all things, and it just makes it so that now Vici are playing very far from behind. They are up against another Aegis on Storm Spirit. They are down a BKB charge on the Terrorblade, down to 8 seconds now. And I just gotta be uncertain about their reaction there. They had information that Sand King was leading the charge, and they had to pretty much all be there. They had the choice of trying to isolate him with a duel, or to do it with a swap, or to do it with a lasso. And they chose the one that left the most room to chance.
I mean, even initiating with an Illuminate at that point, just to force them back is better waiting for daytime. It was only like 10 seconds left. And think about how different that fight would look if an Illuminate blast came through, healed up the Legion Commander, and ended up bringing down the Sand King. Suddenly, it doesn't look so bad, but just not quite there on time, and now
I will say it is an Illuminate, not a mechanism. It's really hard to find those timings where you can actually like fully react. I think maybe a defensive swap, pulling the Legion Commander out away from the Sand King and kind of drawing them back towards the dire side might have been a little bit more of like a reactionary tool. I definitely think daytime, nighttime is a factor here for sure, but I do still think the fight goes poorly in either case.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if you just charge one up at the start of the fight, you know where everybody's going to be at. Like, throw anything out there, but it just felt like taking that fight during nighttime was one other piece to the puzzle that's sort of been the bad sandwich for the IG squad. Is now you also got Sand King. He's got the gem that's taken over from them. They're going to be fighting here, which is maybe a little bit of a better situation for them. DDC getting ready to charge this up. Yang looking for that initiation. Can't find onto Burning. Isn't going to be able to catch now onto XSS, and the Sand King starting to drop low. It's going to get the Yule Scepter off, staying alive. There's the silence now onto the Coddle. There's the duel onto Q. Is he going to drop? They do end up being able to find the kill, but it comes at the cost of Ori's life. And now looking for Burning. They're not going to be able to contain him. HYM is going to fall. Trying to find anything else that they can, but the silence still there. BKB has been used, and End is going to fall. The triple kill from OP. And he is all over it. 17 Bloodstone charges on this guy now.
So painful. They go in and they are not able to really kill off anybody but the Sand King from the beginning. They take a long time to bring down the Warlock, who thankfully didn't even have the Golem at the time to counter-initiate. And in the meantime, it's just OP and Burning who get to do whatever the heck they want. They pop Burning's Lincolns, but he's like, okay, I'll just keep throwing some hits in. And he's able to do so much damage in that fight, break them all down. The second silence comes through, and that's going to be the tier 3, most likely.
Yeah, I think that OP is doing too much at this fight. I don't know if maybe they didn't recognize that the Orchid had come up by the storm or what exactly was going on there, but they just don't have an answer. They need to be able to control him in the engagement or something, because at this point he just counters out too much of what it is that Vici Gaming does. And now the melee barracks down, OP, he's a monster, and not to mention all the damage that comes out from the Lone Druid, who has finished the Daedalus, and there was nowhere near a blinding light anywhere in sight.
Invictus Gaming are in business. They are doing so much work right now. The Storm Spirit already kind of had his trifecta of items, but instantly takes down the tier 3 of the racks and is finding himself very close to a Shiva's Guard. If you look at just the overall net worth swing over the past 5 minutes, like, it's just a drastic shift in favor of IG the past couple of fights, and just the better movement on the map. IG are showing that they are hungry for a game 3.
Absolutely, and now again, up on the high ground, they're smoked up, looking to try and take a fight. We got XSS here with the gem. Still scouting things out, and now they've shut down all of the vision of the side of Vici Gaming, and you can see just how close to the base they're all standing. Not wanting in any way to get picked off here, and kind of struggling to figure out an idea. And now it's another nighttime phase.
Yep, and as far as the Gem of True Sight, that was picked up and given over to XXS, so he does have, well actually that one was purchased by Sutter, so they should have one also in their own base somewhere, but no matter the case, there is gems kind of on both, the gems that were on both sides are now in the hands of the Radiant, and that makes it very difficult for Vici Gaming to get a better understanding of what's happening on the map.
And Burrow Struck pushing out the lanes. Easy peasy for him. We do also have the constant movement down here, and I think that it's starting to feel like those initial phases where Vici almost need to go into a split pushing game, which is clearly not what they wanted to do with their lineup, but it's sort of devolved into this for them, and it feels as if they want to win this game, it's going to need to be in a much later time frame than they were expecting.
Most definitely, and that means that they are going to be having to build harder and harder into the late game. Still, you see the Daedalus progression for the Terrorblade, and the Daedalus complete for Burning. This suddenly, Lone Druid has suddenly jumped up on farm to such an absurd extent. Not only having a Mjolnir, Lincolns, Daedalus, and Dragonlance, but rapidly approaching a full Satanic.
Yeah, he is out of control. OP finishing off that Shiva's Guard like we were talking about, so another way to be able to stop that incoming right click from Ori. He's going to be going back for a Heaven's Halberd. I actually really like that item choice here.
Really?
Kind of interesting.
That item is one that I've been thinking about a lot in terms of like its viability, and it just, I mean, there's a reason that so few players actually build this item
But look
nowadays.
at this. Like, is Storm Spirit going to want to build a BKB this game? You have Lone Druid, who's not anywhere close to it at all. He's going back for the Satanic. If you can stop that, that's where all their damage comes from the most part, as long as, you know, not everybody in the world gets caught by an epicenter.
Yeah, I'm also curious if he's going to use it as a Linken's popper. I mean, I talked about Force Staff and Yules and such, but if you get an item that also passively benefits you to such an extent, it actually just might be worth it. We already talked about the fact that they're not going for them QBs. Actually, Venture Spirit in some trouble here. Gets stunned on twice over, and is going to have to be left for dead.
Yeah, super dead. HYM out of there. So, I mean, honestly, the way this game is going, it could be over before Ori even gets the Heaven's Halberd. If they do not make some type of a, I don't know, change in the way these fights have been taken very soon, because IG is just rolling over them at this point.
Yeah, it's very true. It's tough no matter how you cut it, but I do think that maybe he's even looking at it as, to try to like make it so the Storm can be locked down. Like if he can just go blink on top of the Storm Spirit, Heaven's Halberd to break the linkage, and duel him. Storm Spirit doesn't really naturally auto attack for an extensive amount. Most of it comes through his passive, the Overload, and of course he's not casting spells while he's dueled. So, while Disarm on Burning could situationally be extremely powerful, I actually think it might just be one of those things to guarantee the Lincolns come offline, and you can just focus the hero that's more vulnerable.
He's jumping right there onto Ori, going to TP away, and well, is there a bash? Nope, not going to be there. Manages to get out, but well, that's a BKB charge for just the OP mana pool.
Yeah, essentially he'll get that right back, and they'll be able to continue to control this map, no problem at all. Another Geometry site being picked up by Vici Gaming. Really need to hold on to this one. They were already bouncing back and forth. Nighttime, Batrider holds his gem. Daytime, DDC on the Coddle. But they can't just lose it. They can't just throw it away like one of the fights that we saw down towards bottom, or down the mid lane, really. And they need to make sure that this huge resource stays in their hands for the duration.
Now, they know that this ward is here, though, with that jump that we saw from the Storm Spirit, so we'll be able to get a free D ward. They might even suspect that there could be one over here as well. We'll see if that happens to get taken down. And Kato does have at least an answer now if Storm Spirit jumps on him. You've got the Ghost Scepter, doesn't just have to Force Staff away and cross his fingers. Is going to be able to have at least something to manage, but still a scary initiation. Force Staffs, Blink Daggers, the Burrow Strike and Crush. It's all going into the favor of IG right now, and feels as if right now Vici, they have to like make some type of a move themselves and find IG and find that initial initiation, but it has to come via smokes, and they're still maneuverable.
Yeah, and rapidly approaching 2 items here. Warlock with a Hand of Midas, he's going to be picking up the Lotus Orb. As well, the Slaughter is actually working towards it himself. And Lotus Orb is a particularly effective item this game because there are 2 spells that it just completely negates, arguably 3.
There's a gem on the ground, by the way. That's where the other gem was.
I was wondering. It had to be, but they finally found it. But anyways, the Vengeful Spirit Nether Swap and the Sunder are completely negated by Lotus Orb because the effect essentially goes off twice. Duel is actually doubled by it because both heroes are dueling each other, and then the Lasso makes it so that you are, both the Batrider and the other target are pretty well locked in place, and you can't pull them out of position. So Lotus Orb is a uniquely potent item this game to the extent that I actually really do agree with the decision to pick up 2.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, just need to make sure they got those quick fingers moving on, or even as they're just sieging, they can place it onto somebody. Now a passive as well, Sand King Lincoln Sphere. There's movement over, and it feels like right now they need to make some type of a play, but they've already got the Lincolns there on top of Sand King. So yeah, that's pretty hard to initiate into.
And with that in mind, they don't really feel like they have many options. They have daytime, and this is their time to shine, but I'll run in the clock here. They actually aren't accomplishing much of anything.
Oh, and I got the good old Great Firewall of China lag going on. It's going to be fine, though, I'm sure. Going to clear up just a bit, but Roshan is now up. They've got the bear inside of it, and it does look indeed as if IG, I mean, honestly, they don't even need to pressure for this at all. I think the IG, as long as they maintain this type of dominance over Vici, there's not much that they're going to be able to do. This same exact playstyle is going to be able to win them this game.
And ZOF is building a Terrorblade the way I've never seen it before. And it's he was going for the Daedalus originally, changes his mind with the Crystallis in inventory, is working his way now towards a Bloodthorn. Now this, obviously, when Lincolns are broken, can be very effective against heroes like Storm and Sand King, sometimes even the Warlock. The problem is the Lotus Orb is also an answer to that.
Right.
So they are solving issues against True Strike, against things like Solar Crest, but I do feel that even though there's not going to be many BKBs, there's still going to be a few answers.
Well, they're going to need to make sure that it gets out before the next couple of minutes then.
He's bought out for it. He's fully committed.
I think that this is the right decision, because if you're going, they see that they're going to, well, I assume that they at least see the plate mail on.
Well,
yeah,
even
on
if
the
they
Warlock.
don't see it coming, the important thing is that there's plenty of time for IG to economically react because of the gold advantage that they have. So as soon as they see this, they can start working towards an item and probably pick it up in like 2,000 to get BKB or to get Lotus Orb. You can't waste that time, and so you have to kind of take the risk.
BKB to start it off. They're right there, but what? The Yule Scepter Yang misplays, misclicks.
And Epicenter.
Oh my god, this is not the fight that you wanted in the least bit. Oh wow, that is really, really bad. Jesus, and I mean, he can try and at least secure their retreat, but wowza.
That is really ugly. Self-cast the Yule Scepter during BKB, is unable to do anything in that window, and then they just send in the bench to die.
There's a lot of pressure in these instances. You can understand it, but certainly that one hurt. And now Roshan, like they're just right into it.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
It's going to be Flay Break to try for something cheeky, but in the end it's going to be OP with the third Aegis of the game, and the cheese will just be sitting in the backpack of the Lone Druid. So it's a Bloodthorn Storm Spirit with 18 Bloodstone charges, Shivas, Lincolns, and another Aegis. And I feel like this is all that they need to breach high ground.
Well, likewise though, if somehow, some way, we can see Vici Game hold, find a couple of kills, this is the point where like it doesn't get any easier from here. You got to make it happen now. So one last desperate hold. There's a possibility of a big comeback, but it's going to need to be perfect. And even then, I'm not sure if it's enough. OP moving up towards the high ground. They drop down a ward, giving them vision over this area. We do have the BKB ready. It is 7 seconds for the Terrorblade. It also looks like the Bat Riders is back up as well. Can they find it? There's the initiation onto OP. Can't quite get him as of yet. The swap back in, but OP, they're on top of him. Burning dropping low. They got the duel there. Ori is going to be able to find that kill. So Lone Druid down, and now maybe a bit more. OP, he is being controlled, but can they find that kill? He's so freaking low, but that's only the Aegis, and still alive.
But they got Bloodthorn
They
back
are going
up.
to be able to turn this back around, but don't quite get the disable. So they lose 2 off the back of that.
But they get the Lone Druid, which is still, I think, the much more important kill here. They get the Aegis, they get the Lone Druid, and they force them back.
Oh my god, there's a lot of noise.
Yeah, that's Storm Spirit for you. He loves to bounce around. But we do have like the Echo Shell, the Solar Crest, and the Lincoln Sphere all up on OP. He's going in.
Okay, there's going to be the 4-staff play, and maybe going to be able to get him here. The Ghost Scepter still going to be able to keep DDC alive for the moment, but they turn on to the Ori Legion Commander as well. They buy back on the Coddle, and he is going to drop, and that's no buyback. That should be game. IG, they're going to be able to pull this one out here, as they do believe they have a creep wave. It should be coming in soon.
They're not punishing yet, and Ori is still here. He's going to try to make something happen here. They've still got the Overwhelming combined with the Illuminate. They really want it, but that is 58 seconds with that Terrorblade down. He bought out, he committed to this Bloodthorn, and he really wasn't able to make it work. Like if right after that Aegis came out, the Storm that had no Lincoln Sphere got caught by that Bloodthorn, it would have been game-changing, but the timing wasn't right, and now it's the Keeper of the Light who gets caught out. Buyback actually is just there in time for the Terrorblade, and the Ghost Scepter brings the Coddle back.
Yeah, they're going to be going for the duel now onto Burning again, but look at Ori just taking so much damage from this. There is no answer at all. Burning is going to be able to eat the cheese as well. The swap back in, and End is on top of him, but the Savage Roar play as well is going to be able to keep that guy alive, and now they take down HYM. Borax is trying to run away, and well, there's the Epi to turn it again. End in trouble, brought down, double kill for OP, and GG is going to get called as IG pull this one out, and we're going to be going to a game number 3 in these China qualifiers.
That is definitely what Invictus Gaming needed, a little bit of a boost in the right direction. A lack of respect to the Lone Druid pick in the early phase 2, and most importantly, that later stage Storm Spirit pickup that Vici Gaming didn't have the means to control. They picked up some heroes that would be able to do so, but in turn, IG pick up all of these great items to react to that, such as the Liquid Sphere, and it just allows Ori to play out so aggressively in this game.